And I just wonder where, first of all, Graham Clucas, this whole idea came from. Why do we need a new approach to looking at this notion of trauma?
For me, so a little bit about my past. So I've been through the mental health system. I've been through the addiction system. I've been to prison. And in 2005, I made the decision to turn my life around. So I was in a pretty bad place in 2005, and I went on this amazing journey for 10 years. I did some amazing things, and I found healing rather than harm management, which is very, what the medical model is about managing your symptoms. And then I discovered this new world of what's called discovery, which is not the medical model, not the 12 steps. It's somewhere in the middle. We recognise the need for both. And I was working in London for 5 years. And then I came back to the Isle of Man, and I was giving away free therapy to the homeless guys at Gry. And then that developed out, Quing has developed out of that. So.
And just explain what the word Quing actually means, because it's a beautiful metaphor.
Okay, so a Quing is a Manx word for a small beam of wood between the horse and the plough, and if it's not in balance, the horse and plough can't go forward.
Isn't that lovely? And we should say you are actually trained in this, aren't you?
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to go and do a master's in 2011 in classical person-centered counselling, and since then I've topped up with some focusing-oriented psychotherapy training. So I'm a registered psychotherapist with a BA, British Association of Counsellors and Psychotherapists.
Because while this is a slightly different approach, I mean, having that accreditation is still hugely important.
Yeah. So I live by an ethical framework. So everything I do is governed by my relationship with the BACP. So.
And how different is it then from the traditional model of counselling?
So, because of the way Quing operates, so often people just look at the symptoms. So if you look at symptoms, you could classify mental health problems as a symptom. You could classify addictions as a problem. You can classify criminality as a symptom of something that underlies. So if you try and treat the symptom, you'll never get into the root cause. If you get to the root cause, which 99.9% of the time is trauma of some description or high stress situations which then develop into trauma, it's that. Then that leads on to isolation, which then leads on to more mental health problems, more addiction, more criminality. And the more isolated you are, the more likely the more extreme the behaviour. So if you go all the way back and start dealing with the trauma, so you can manage the symptoms quite easily, but then you'd have to deal with the trauma. And because the medical model doesn't have you can't give a tablet to deal with trauma, you actually have to help that person deal with it.
I suppose sometimes you have to actually work out what the trauma is in the first place.
So in my own journey, it took me 5 or 6 years to get to that place where I could deal with the trauma.
And did you work out what your trauma was?
Which one?